Koiki, ka pai. Tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa, tēnei te mihi atu kia koutou I te ahiahi nei. Ko waiau, ko Ngāti Ranginui, Ngaitirangi, Raukawa me Ngāti Haua. Ko Mawau te Maunga, ko Wairoa te Awa, ko Taki Timu te Waka, ko Emma Waimari Rawson-Te Patu, tō kuingoa. So good afternoon, thank you very much for the introduction. It's lovely to be with you all the way here from Aotearoa, New Zealand. I'm really conscious that I've only got 8 minutes. It usually takes me 8 minutes to warm up, but I'll do my best. I've just introduced myself in my language, which is Te Reo Māori, the Indigenous language of New Zealand. The other thing that I've done is I've introduced myself by way of giving you the name of my mountain, my sea, and the place that I'm from, and then I've given you my name. That is to position myself in the place where I belong, which is inside the greater thing that is the planet and the place that we as Indigenous people see ourselves as the guardians of and not the owners of. So the reason, one of the reasons that I'm with you today is to share, I guess, around the story of how I became the president of the World Federation of Public Health Associations and how that conversation aligns with the wellbeing economy. So just in this slide again, this is a very Indigenous thing to do, is bring my family with me. We never usually do anything alone. So on the slide in the middle is my grandmother. You'll see another young lady in the top corner over there that looks a lot like me. That's my daughter, Waimari, and in this corner is myself, my daughter, and my husband Adrian, who's at home looking after the dog. So I am, by trade, if you like, I'm a health promoter. I'm not a doctor. I'm very proud of being a health promoter. I'm a researcher. I'm an anti-racism researcher. I'm what I call a treaty alignment specialist. That means I'm a specialist in systems change and organisational development. So this is, another one of the reasons why I'm very passionate and very happy to be amongst you all today and to be listening to the conversations this morning and last night. I'm going to try and draw some threads together with the previous speaker. As an Indigenous person, we are 500 million people on the face of this planet. That's 6% of the population. We carry the greater burden of illness, disease than anybody else. And so this is why it's really important to me to be sure that I'm here to position myself when we talk about equity in any form. And the wellbeing economy is about equity for all. We can't address equity for all unless we understand the place of Indigenous people on this planet and what is required in terms of rebalancing our systems and rebalancing our societies so that Indigenous people are not suffering the greater burden of illness and disease compared to everybody else. This graphic is actually from about 2.5 years ago, and I wanted to use this today because this is the day I met Catherine Trebek. She's a very dear friend of mine now, and I'm very honoured to know her and to know her energy and the work that she does. And the conversations last night at the Spirit of Humanity Forum opening, and then this morning, most of what I'm hearing is about the need for leadership and a different kind of leadership, a different kind of lens over how we lean into leadership at all levels and what that looks like. So hopefully I'm going to try to impart a feeling of how leadership can be different from an Indigenous lens, but actually globally from what I'm calling a decolonised lens. I'm going to hope to impart to you some ideas about different ways of doing things, but mostly it's about a different way of being. So there's lots of words in this slide that you'll probably recognise from things that other people have been speaking about today and last night, the importance of language, what it means to be a good human. I've got racism clearly outlined in there because as a racism researcher and someone dedicated to addressing systems change, institutional racism is defined as inaction in the face of need, or the unequal distribution of resources that advantages one group over another, which makes me think of the slide earlier from Michael's presentation earlier today when he talked about pre-distribution. This is just a map of the world that kind of shows you a bit about, how and what colonisation looked like. It pretty much touches everywhere in the world. Nowhere is untouched by this. So I say this because a number of people still struggle with the idea of the word decolonising, what that means. There's a lot of feeling of fear around that word, but we are all in some way touched or affected by colonisation and its continued effects. So that's the only reason this slide is in here. This is the definition that the World Federation of Public Health Associations has come up with in terms of its commitment as a mainstream global organisation to understanding how to show leadership and how to change the way in which we operate in order to create equity in a way that addresses the needs of those most needing to have equity creation. And when I say that, we're talking about Indigenous peoples first, and if you do the right thing for Indigenous peoples, you only create better equity for everybody else. So how do we do this? And I've only got 2 minutes and 43 seconds left. Decolonising 101, again, a number of these concepts other people have talked about in different ways, but the importance of understanding what is true partnership. And when I say partnership, understanding shared decision-making, dropping ego, sharing power and resource. Manaakitanga is a word from my culture, which is a really important one when we think about how we behave. It means giving without expectation of return. So if we think about the way we operate in the world, am I giving without expecting something back? Authenticity, well, that speaks for itself. Am I being authentic in all the things that I do and all the things that I lean into in my personal world and also in the organisation or place that I make the biggest impact in terms of my sphere of influence? Listening to hear and not to respond. We heard this last night, the importance of listening, true listening, not to answer with a thing that you think that you know, but to listen to what it is that's being said and therefore adjust to that in terms of the decisions that you make. The other important things in here are about knowing your context, know your history. If you don't know your context, you don't know your history, then you can't possibly understand how to do what you need to do in the space that you're in. And ultimately, global literacy is a really important one. There's still this really big global divide between north and south, lots of information in the south that doesn't get up to the north, lots of skill that, vice versa, these sorts of things. Again, this harks to the thing that's coming up again and again in this conference, which is the importance of connection, the importance of relationship, and the importance of time. And I'm going to say the time thing because I'm speaking really fast because I've got no time. But, in our world, in our Indigenous world, time is not linear. Something is done when it's done. You don't stop because it's 5 o'clock. You keep going until the job is done. But actually, what's more important in that is you spend 99.9% of your time on relationship. When you do that, whatever the task is becomes much faster and much more efficient. So time. Be a good human. That kind of speaks for itself. If we're always thinking about how do I be the best human I can possibly be, then I think we're in a win. Okay, 24 seconds. It's a lot for a global Indigenous equity framework. Okay, what I'm going to say about that, I'm going to go back quickly. So this is a framework based on Indigenous values. It's a human rights framework. It's a way in which we can understand how to share power, how to increase sovereignty or self-determination of individuals or communities, how to create equity in all the possible ways, and how to allow for all the different kinds of spiritual and religious freedoms, including culture and language, that are required in all the spaces for everyone to get what they need, when they need it, how they need it, the way that they need it. That was fast. So in here we've got values that drive us. We've had a session today around values-based leadership. We've also got in here the SDGs and how they align with these values, and they happen to be Indigenous values. But look at that. In the third box down in the values, we've got dignity, fairness, participation, which is spelt wrong, purpose and nature. Someone recognise that? Michael, where are you? Yeah. And then in the actions, so what are the actions that we need to do? Oh, look at that in the green. Preventative measures, people-powered, pre-distribution, people-powered. Actions. Actions for doing good, actions for equity. So you kind of get an idea, you're all smart people. I'm not going to get to explain it, but I'm happy to talk to you after. Global Indigenous Equity Framework. And this is the virtuous circle of that framework. So that we believe in, those things that we hold dear, let's go back, drive the way that we make decisions, how we share power, then that translates into how we create self-determining people and communities, which creates equity, and it goes round and round. Good things come in circles. Indigenous people really believe in circles. Oh look, there's a Māori model. I'm sorry, and again, our first speaker, I'm sorry, I'm only saying our first speaker because I really have no idea how to pronounce your name, but I'll learn. The challenge that was made earlier, our global public health community really needs to lean into understanding itself again, better and differently. It's not just about public health medicine, it's about all of the things that we are in this room about. It's about health promotion, it's about tattoo artists, it's about barbers, it's about hairdressers. It's about everybody has a role to play in public health, and going back to that understanding and how we share language and how we have consistency of language so that we can get more done in a quicker time in the face of all of the challenges, geopolitical and otherwise. Okay. And the need for more time spent on relationship. This is a slide that harks to a new organisation that I'm part of called Nourish. It's about connecting all of the networks of networks so that we can do more. And I've heard lots of people talking about the need for this morning. So how can we spend more time on those relationships that are going to create faster and better effective change, getting more people to do more things better all of the time. So networks of networks, more movements like all of us in this room are doing. Because too often people are still too divorced from those things that create true human-centred change in the world. So a lot of these things that I've spoken about in a very quick time, and I have been very brave today, so I'm going to congratulate myself for my courage and going really, really fast. So bravery takes courage, but we all have the possibility and the ability to be brave. And it's for this reason. Mō tātou a mō ka uri a muri ake nei for us and our children after us. So kia ora, thank you. Please talk to me after. That was a lot in a really short time. Kia ora.